And welcome back to the second episode of what I think is going to be the most professional video podcast the world has ever seen now that we're evolving this entire thing. Last week we had Rosie with us, and this week we are being joined here with Alexander. Alexander, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I was going to say it's our pleasure, but let's wait on that judgment until
We'll decide
the
on that
end
later.
For sure.
Yes, around the 15-minute mark, depending on if we're going to hear that nasty timeout sound or not. We shall see. Having that said, again, welcome. Thanks for being with us. Who are you?
Oh, that's a great question, Ben. I ask that all the time. I'm Alexander. I am an MVP, data platform MVP since, 2018, I think. I have the best title ever because I'm a principal solutions architect for data masterminds. The thing is, nobody knows what that means, but again, it's the best title ever. I've been doing IT stuff since 1997. The fact is, I realized the other day that I've been in this business for 25 years. That means I'm getting old. But yeah, I still find it to be super interesting, and especially the community part. And that's kind of fun because I started out working only with tech. I didn't like people. Technically, I still don't, but I'll make exceptions.
People are the worst, so that makes sense.
Agreed.
I know,
Welcome
right?
to the show.
And then
hello, friends.
And then one day I figured that, wait a second, tech is fun and cool and all, but people, that's where it's at. And finding the community, getting involved in the community, wow, it literally changed my life, and it actually gave me the job that I have today. So I'm super happy to be in the community. I'm super happy to be here. This is actually the second podcast that I've ever been invited to. And I run my own podcast since 5 years. So I have no idea how to do this as a guest.
So when you say we're the second that invited you, do you count your own podcast as the first, or was there one other one? Just so.
Actually, 2 others, yes.
Okay, there we go.
I was going to say, we don't really know how to host a podcast, so maybe we should just swap roles.
There's that. Thank you for having us, Alexander. What do you want to talk about?
Why don't you tell us about yourself?
No, I'm not. I mean, you made it pretty clear on the pilot episode that it's more interesting to speak to others than me talking about me.
Good.
Okay, so Alexander, we figured out your job title is basically Ramalama Ding Dong or something else that doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
That was a Simpsons reference. I'm pretty proud that I remembered
well
that
done,
on
Ben.
the spot. Thank you. I should have had a sound effect for moments like this, but nobody was anticipating me doing something like
this. You see,
this.
this is why we love doing these things as a recording, because that means you can put it in post.
Yeah, but now you've told people that it wasn't there from the beginning, so people would know that I've cheated. And again, we're at a very early stage. I'm not sure we've set the track record for people. I'm not sure we're at that trust level with our audience at this point. So let's not do any post-editing. And that does not mean I'm just too lazy to do it. Not at all.
Okay.
But anyways, getting back to my question, you have a job title. It doesn't mean anything. That's what we've settled. But what is it that you do, especially in the data fields? Is there anything you specialize in?
Yes, it is. And tech is so many things. And I think that a lot of people should really think about, how do you explain in simple words and simple terms, what the heck do you do? And I try to view it as, I make data matter, because everybody and their cat has so much data. We're literally wading around in data like up to our knees. But how do we use it? How do we make this data matter? How do we create actionable insights? All those things. So I most often talk architecture and information architecture and visualization and making something out of the vast amount of stuff that people have laying around in the data warehouses and all that kind of stuff. So both from a technical standpoint, Power BI, Azure Synapse Analytics, all those things, but also from a presentation standpoint, because it doesn't matter if you have the best data ever if you can't make it mean anything. So presentation skills, those kinds of things is also something that I do quite a lot.
Cool. If you had to pick like one specific feature, one specific product, would you be able to name a favorite? Anything where you say, okay, this tech, and it can be like at this, because I mean, as you said, tech is evolving. So that answer would probably have been different a year ago, potentially even a week ago. It might be different another 6 months from now. But do you have like a favorite tool, a favorite? I'm not going to say gadget, but
Oh, I have a lot of favorite gadgets.
I know
I have
that.
an
That's
issue
why I
with the
was
word
like, oh, rabbit hole,
favorite
rabbit hole.
because it implies just one. But when it comes to tech, you can always go down the safe route and say Azure Synapse Analytics, as if that was one thing. And that's where I just want to, let's not open that can of worms. But I'm going to go and say Power BI, because that is a tool that is literally upending the data world. It is bringing so many opportunities. And right behind the opportunities comes a vast amount of potential disasters. And even more so when Power BI becomes more and more powerful. We haven't seen anything yet, is my opinion. And when we get more and more power in the hands of people that are closer to the business, that is a good thing. But it also means that you're giving literally people the keys to the kingdom. And if you don't really know what kind of issues you're going to face with vast amount of data, you just use it like you do Excel, you are in for a world of hurt. But having said that, I still think that Power BI is the most important thing to happen to the data environment and data community for years.
With all that self-service stuff, are we really giving them the key to the kingdom, or are we just giving them their own kingdom? And at the end, everybody believes that they actually reign the sole kingdom. As
Also,
in
a
five
very,
people
very
showing up there with the same report, but it's not the same report because it has the same headline, and that's about as common.
narrator's
Much commonality
voice.
as you get.
That was not the right report. No, and you're always, as always, you're pointing out the biggest issue: fragmentation and governance. And people tend to think that we can't do governance on this because it's power to the people. It's self-service. It's quite the opposite. You cannot do proper self-service without good governance and good guardrails. Because if you do, you're just inviting chaos. And well, you need to talk to Andrew Prusky about that.
Very true. So you said in the beginning you didn't really like the people, but one of the things you mentioned that you like to do now is to talk about presentation skills and like those soft skills. How did you come around to basically 180 degrees, right? And now you're teaching the people.
It was a very painful realization that tech is cool, but tech doesn't really matter because tech is not going to make anything change. And at the end of the day, it's all about change. How do we change society? How do we change outcomes? How do we change people? And well, there we go. It's all about people. So realizing that in order to get to these changes, I needed to talk to people. I'm not saying that I liked it at the time, but I found that I could apply my troubleshooting and deductive skills, taking everything that I've known from tech and applying it to people, essentially coming at people from another direction, if you will. So I've had a lot of interesting conversations with other speaker trainers who did not come from the tech side. And I think we're doing the same thing, but it is difficult and well, I should say different to do just straight on TED Talks compared to teaching and technical sessions. So really interesting stuff.
Cool. Is that enough of the tech stuff, Ben? Or should we move on to your favorite non-tech item?
Yes, please.
Well, that was kind of the question that I was dreading because we're back to favorite implying one thing. I am very, very bad at doing just one thing, but I'm going to go
if it was easy, everyone could do it.
Yeah, that's the title of my memoirs, I think. But I'm going to go with an old love of mine. So I started flying gliders back in 1999, I think, and I did that for a couple of years and then essentially shelved the whole thing. Then came COVID. The world essentially ended. I realized that everything that I had planned out the window, and I might just as well take up flying again. So I reacquired my glider pilot's license. And then I realized, wait a second, I can actually go from here upwards. So a motor glider, which is essentially what you get if you put a glider and a single engine airplane in a hangar overnight and they like each other very much, then you have a motor glider. And then from there to single engine piston. So your garden variety Cessnas and Pipers and that's kind of stuff that I'm flying around in these days. That takes a lot of time. It is super exciting. There's so much to learn, and I can do this for another like 40 years, and I'll still never be fully in it. So definitely something that I can highly recommend.
So, wouldn't it have just been easier to just fly back from Data Grillen directly back home rather than going to Amsterdam, have your flight canceled, stay overnight, almost miss your brother's wedding, and all that? This is just me curiously asking.
It's funny you should ask because I've looked at the available airfields and stuff, and it would be doable. The trick is it's a long flight and you're not quite sure about the weather. I am not what's known as IFR certified, so I can't fly in bad weather and clouds, meaning that I would need to have clear skies and sunny skies to get there. It might work. It might not work. I might arrive even later, or I might not arrive at all. So I'll stick to commercial, but I will avoid Deutsche Bahn.
Yeah, I'm also biting my tongue heavily not to make a Alexander avoiding the cloud joke right now. Despite, that's basically what he said.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so basically for your job, go to the cloud. In private, avoid the cloud. That's Alexander in a nutshell. Is that how we can sum it up?
We didn't even need 15 minutes.
Well, exactly. Because we're all professionals here. That's what I said from the beginning.
Exactly.
Well, some of us. None of us. Okay. We're not professionals here.
You can't tell people that on the second episode. We want to get to at least 5 before they realize we don't know what we're doing.
I'm pretty sure people realized before the first episode. So, and I'm pretty sure that's why people are here.
It's called preconceptions and expectations, and you set them perfectly well.
Thank you. Question mark. I'm not sure.
No.
Ben, I think we're crushing it. I think we're doing it.
And so do I. I've done my podcast with Simon and Haney for 5 years. We've done over 200 episodes, and it's not easy. It is definitely not easy, especially running video. We would not do that. We've tried it a couple of times, and we're very, very happy that none of that is on the internet because holy cow, that would be used against us instantly. So you really bitten off a lot. So if you can pull this off, I'm amazed.
Well, the whole point we're doing this is to introduce all of y'all. And I think if we're introducing people or letting people introduce themselves without them even being visible, that's like kind of defeating the purpose. So that this must be a video podcast was kind of a given with the idea. And I'm so very much looking forward to all the other people that we're also going to. We were super overwhelmed with the response that we were getting. We know a few people in this community. So we knew that we would have a couple of people lined up for the first couple of episodes and then see how it goes. At this point, we definitely have to reconsider our initial planned cadence because otherwise we will never get through that list, which is a great problem to have, to be quite honest.
At least it feels like we have friends.
There is that. Or at least people that want to talk to us.
Yeah, or want to be famous.
At least once, exactly. People can meet you at Sequel Bits, Alexander.
They can.
How else can people get in touch with you?
So either at Sequel Bits or the Swedish Power BI user group, which I run every 3 months or so in Stockholm. Email me, Alexander@arcticdba.se. Find me on Twitter. I'm ArcticDBA. I'm still on Twitter. I know. It's not the cool place these days.
Same
But
these.
yeah, I'm still here. So I'll probably be still here when nobody else is here. So yeah, that's probably the easiest way to find me.
And what was the name of your podcast again, in case somebody wants to listen to a podcast that is a little longer than 50 minutes and does not have video?
Knee Deep in Tech.
All right. And we're going to put all that here in the show notes. So people can find you on the interwebs. And
Cool.
with that,
Are you
both of
pushing
you.
it?
I'm not pushing it because I was kind of pushing it over the 15-minute mark. But now I kind of have to push it, right? So people know what we're
Well,
talking
yeah,
about.
people are waiting for it.
You're pushing it for
Exactly.
yourself.
So I'm pushing it for myself. So if people go over the 15-minute mark, this is what happens. I was trying to find an even longer alarm siren thingy, but I think this just really nails it. So Alexander,
next
thank
15
you
minutes
so
of the
much.
podcast is the buzzer.
What do you mean? What do you mean next 50 minutes? No, this is it.
Oh.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you for taking the time. Meet Alexander, your new
Thank you
data
so much
friend.
for having me. This was fun, and I'm dying to see all the other amazing people you're going to be able to talk to.
Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Bye.